Hey, go ahead. Come on in here. It's time for Expand the Visual. I'm Jordan Taylor, author of How to Wash Your Brain, Rote Learning Secrets for Homeschool, High School, and Beyond. And today we're going to talk some more about edugenic harm. This is what teachers and mentors and coaches and other educators do that they think is helping, or maybe they don't even think at all. They just don't care. They're apathetic. They think they're helping, or maybe they are, maybe they aren't, but it's actually hurting their students, hurting their mentees, hurting the people they're responsible for helping. So edugenic harm. How does this school system, this wonderful public school system of ours, just keep hurting kids? Well, I'll tell you a couple things. The first, I'll tell you a story from when I was in the Navy. I remember being in the Navy and we were all seated around a room in the weapons department. We were doing some training. And our weapons officer came in and he said, "Hey, time out, all stop. There's something very important we need to tell you about. Very, very important. There's this new substance that's becoming very popular. It's called salvia." Oh, well, our attention was perked up. Well, what's this substance called salvia? Well, people are smoking it. They're getting high, and it's really bad, and you guys, it's not illegal yet, but you guys are not allowed to do it. Well, of course, people wanted to know, if it's not illegal, why are we not allowed to do it? Well, first of all, people were getting high. It's a good time. Can't have a good time. But second of all, this was the big one. The weapons officer, he looked around at us, he looked me dead in the face, and he said, "It can cause hallucinations. Can't have you be doing that and doing your job in the Navy." And I leaned back and I said, "Well, sometimes you make us be on watch for 24 hours. Maybe we're up for 48 hours at a time. Maybe 72 hours we're awake because of all the drills that you're running on us and our crazy military schedule. And you know what causes hallucinations? Sleep deprivation. That causes hallucinations. And a lot of other negative factors. But you force us to do that." And he just kind of looked at me and blinked. Couldn't believe what he was hearing. The point of the story is the hypocrisy. And this is a hypocrisy that you're going to see in the school system when it comes to sleep deprivation. So on one hand, you have all this push in school for people to pay better attention. All right, to reduce stress. We want to reduce stress. We want to increase attention. We want to raise people's executive function level. Executive function basically means not having interference with your working memory and being able to keep focused attention. So say not having hallucinations, that would be a good thing. So we want to do all these good things in school. But then we are going to have some of our adolescents who are in junior high and high school waking up at maybe 5 a.m., maybe even sooner, depending on what they have to do at home, maybe 4:30 a.m. Also, they can run out while it's still dark outside to catch a bus for a bus ride to school, because the high school start times and some middle school start times are just crazy early. Crazy early. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Suck it up, Buttercup. They can get up that early, all right? And I would say, yeah, actually, I agree with you. That builds some character. The ability to get up early. Early to bed, early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Isn't that what old Benjamin Franklin would have said? But there's some things that Benjamin Franklin didn't know in his day, but we know them now. So I highly suggest that you pick up this book, Why We Sleep, Unlocking the Power of Sleep and Dreams by Matthew Walker, PhD. It says Unlocking the Power of Sleep and Dreams. You can tell that's just kind of a catchy subtitle to sell books, but really the title, Why We Sleep. There are all sorts of cognitive and overall health benefits that are the reasons why we sleep. But in particular, he mentioned some things about the adolescent years. And this is what's so interesting. So I'm going to read a little bit extensively from this book. But please just go ahead and bear with me, because this is important advice for anybody who is a teenager or it plans on raising teenagers, or is in any way involved in decisions that affect teenagers. So, adolescent teenagers have a different circadian rhythm from their younger siblings. You know that a lot of young kids, they'll get up right at the ass crack of dawn, right? And then they'll be running around and everything and then crash earlier in the evening, right? And just sleep like a freaking rock for 10, 11, 12 hours. Little kids will do this. But as they mature, as they go through their metamorphosis into those middle school and high school years, they change. Their circadian rhythm changes. So let's read about this. During puberty, the timing of the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is a part inside your brain that actually keeps track of if it's daytime or nighttime, and then releases different hormones and neurochemicals to put you to sleep or to wake you up. So during puberty, the timing of the suprachiasmatic nucleus is shifted progressively forward, a change that is common across all adolescents, irrespective of culture or geography. So far forward, in fact, it passes even the timing of their adult parents. What does that mean? Here's what it means. When you're a little kid, you get naturally tired fairly early in the evening. Naturally tired, meaning your brain starts releasing the signals, hey, it's time to go to sleep. Kind of coincides with sunset. When you're a teenager, this shifts forward. It means that you naturally cannot just fall asleep after the sun goes down. You're going to be wired to stay up. Wired to stay up actually longer than your parents. So we'll get back to if it's a choice or not in a second. And then when you're an adult, you kind of go back to that, hey, the sun goes down and I'm good for a few hours after that, and then that's when I start really winding down and going to bed. And then I can get up work for my beloved job. Okay, so let's read a little bit more from this book. As a consequence, the 16-year-old will usually have no interest in sleeping at 9 p.m. Instead, peak wakefulness is usually still in play at that hour by the time the parents are getting tired, as their circadian rhythms take a downturn and melatonin release instructs sleep, perhaps around 10 or 11 p.m. Their teenager can still be wide awake. Now let me skip forward a little bit. This, of course, leads to much angst and frustration for all parties involved on the back end of sleep. All parties involved, that means parents get pissed off, the kids get pissed off, the teachers get pissed off, the school system gets pissed off, everybody's pissed off. All right. So, much angst and frustration for all parties involved on the back end of sleep. Parents want their teenager to be awake at a reasonable hour of the morning. Teenagers, on the other hand, having only been capable of initiating sleep some hours after their parents, can still be in their trough of the circadian downswing. Like an animal prematurely wrenched out of hibernation too early, the adolescent brain still needs more sleep and more time to complete the circadian cycle before it can operate efficiently without grogginess. So, basically, you're jolting your teenager out of sleep. They just got to sleep. They're starting to get in that deep bit. And then they're all groggy, and you say, go to school and learn. Go to school and tackle all these complex subjects. All right? Let's read maybe a little bit more. I think this is a good quote. It's very understandable for parents to feel frustrated in this way since they believe that their teenagers' sleep patterns reflect a conscious choice and not a biological edict. But non-volitional, non-negotiable, and strongly biological they are. That means that's just the way their brain is wired, and it changes over the course of their development. We parents would be wise to accept this fact and to embrace it, encourage it, and praise it, lest we wish our children to suffer developmental brain abnormalities or force a raised risk of mental illness upon them. This is no joke. So the brain is developing during this time, and we're starving it of one of its essential things that it needs, sleep. Okay? This can lead to abnormally developed brains, and it can also lead to mental illness. Oh, those moody teenage years. Well, maybe they wouldn't be so moody if they weren't going around sleep deprived all the time. I want to mention the fact that when we were in the war in Iraq, and it came out a lot of stuff about Abu Ghraib and how people were being treated and waterboarding, that this was this torture that was involved. And waterboarding, people were like, no, we got to get that off the list of approved torture. That can't be on the list of approved torture. You know what is on the list of approved torture techniques? Sleep deprivation. Tying back to my military story. Oh, it was fine to do that. You can't take a substance that has hallucinations, but we can make you trip out of your freaking mind by depriving you of sleep. And that's what they do when they're in scenarios where they want to get information out of an enemy. They deprive them of sleep constantly. Let them just fall asleep, kick them awake. Put a light on 24/7 in their chamber. And make sure that it's just this living hell and this state of just utter confusion going on. This is a state we're creating in our teenagers willfully. Willfully, this is what we're doing. So, the kids who naturally stay up later and wake up later are the ones who are forced to get up the earliest. Now, people would say, but how am I going to manage things? I count on my teenager to get home earlier before my other kids and take care of my other kids. And really, you're just thinking inside the box, okay? I know that there are a lot of logistical nightmares that we would have to encounter if we suddenly said, hey, you know what? Elementary school kids go to school first, middle school next, high school after that. It would cause a lot of confusion. People might say, oh, well, my teenager wants to work a part-time job and he has to start the part-time job early in the afternoon. There's going to be an endless amount of excuses. But if the coronavirus pandemic taught us anything, is that you can just shake things up and people will readjust and find a way to move forward. When it comes to the school start times being absolutely just ass backwards, what should be done by the education system is they should just say that it's happening. No negotiations, no, oh, let's try to find out how to work it out. You'll figure a way to work it out. So will every parent, so will every teenager, so will every kid. But if you want kids learning, don't hamstring their executive function, their stress levels, their ability to cope with what's going on just because they're in a constant state of sleep deprivation. That's insane. So, what is the likelihood that the entire school system is going to wake up, pull their head out of their rear ends, and change the school start times and stop doing state-sanctioned torture on our children? Probably not a lot. However, you need to keep in mind there are some things you can do. My son is starting high school next year. So here's what I plan to do to help combat this, okay? Everything that can be done the night before to get him ready for school, to set him up for success, that's what we're going to do. You can think of bathing, picking out an outfit and having it ironed, ready to go. That can be done the night before, all right? Meal prep. Breakfast can be arranged to be very simple, not an elaborate affair, maybe even a grab-and-go breakfast. All of these things that need to be done in the morning to get your teenager ready for school, I highly suggest doing as many of those as you can the night before. All right, so that's step one. Step two, what you need to do is then find out when the absolute dead last minute that they can wake up and still be on time is going to be. Because if they identify that, basically you want your teenager just rolling out of bed, doing a bare minimum morning routine, and heading out the door. And if they're going to stay up late anyway, they can do all these preparatory activities the night before. They should have plenty of time to do it. They'll fall asleep at their natural time. And then maybe you're gaining a half an hour, 45 minutes, an hour. Maybe you're gaining more than that on the morning side. So that's a practical solution that every family can start doing now while the system has not changed. However, if you're watching this video and you're in some position to have influence on the system itself, come on, get it done. Just change it. Stop torturing the brains of adolescents. Stop normalizing sleep deprivation. This is something that they're going to think is normal when they go into their lives on the job. They're going to be burning the candle at both ends and realizing that they're actually reducing their effectiveness and reducing their efficiency in anything that they're going to do. Come on, memories are formed when we're sleeping. Memories. That's all learning is trying to create new memories. So you're going to school all day trying to create new memories, and then when the memories are actually being laid down, you freaking cut that process in half. That's ridiculous. You're shooting yourself in the foot. Let's stop that. So just stop the insanity, stop the state-sanctioned torture, and let's have our teenagers get some of those solid Z's. All right.